Monday. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After digging the 4 plants from Miss Santos the day before that last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plants, calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, I wonder if her to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when that woman's eyes go over me. Sure, she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. I'm going to say I'm being a paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The rights lived at the very top of the penthouse. Creme when it comes to pandemonium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks just to secure the part. Not only because of building management, but because of the right's personal security. Sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime, not visiting a client at their home. Even when the personnel isn't called in to help out and verify my presence, the process is accurate rather than hasty. Speaking of the devil, the elevator door opens and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not so little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security, and only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
Shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's old people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit in their living room just waiting, and when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. Just the silence is relaxing, but then there's a crash. I nearly spill tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking. I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not that nosy. What should I do? One says wait, one says go. Shoot. Oh. What day? This is the 20th. This is Monday. I'll wait. I have no business with it. These people usually value their privacy above all else after all. Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media, bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. Then again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give two shits about what goes on with people like them. And I'm not going to get caught snooping about and be accused of some imagined wrongdoing. I'm not going to be some busybody detective wannabe and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just something mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. I'm just going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Ray. My tea, and complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hasn't heard the crash, I doubt he would have heard.
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera. The LBC News would be fine. The William Walker Show is on too if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does. The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics and I want to see the second meet sixth in Spain. If not, just the news then. Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
Did you just ignore the crash a while ago then? No, most items must be a common occurrence. Whatever. Fetching the remote, I turn the TV on in the hopes of filling the silence. Trying to anyway because the thing won't turn on. Doesn't that make the silence more awkward or what? I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure I can work a simple television remote.
The batteries must be dead.
Help me. Huh. What? There's blood everywhere. Help me, it says in red. I look at my own hands and find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there is nothing staining my skin, I can feel the sticky and warm feeling of blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips with skin so fair and swinging hips. I want nothing more than to hold her, plant my lips on her neck, and to run my fingers through her hair. She laughs and she smiles when she looks at me, but where are her eyes? Temptation is gone in an instant, and I grow horrified at this reflection I am seeing. I to back into something, or rather someone. Mrs. Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I ground and remind myself that this is my client. Whatever I just saw, well, it would be too far-fetched to say that. Perhaps I am going a bit daft. It would be preferable, of course, to think it was all the trick of the light or making some overactive imagination.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you all right, dear? You're looking a bit pale. Haven't you had breakfast yet?
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in. You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you. And are you sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
Looking down at my hands, I can see them trembling. Really, just because she looks so much like her, becoming a damn train wreck. I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion. There's so many blondes in the world. That what was different with her? What was different this time? Do I want to be truthful? I think it's like, do I want to be truthful with her, or do I just want to tell her a lie? I feel like I'm not feeling too well. It's starting to go mad, I am. Ah, damn. There is work to be done, and the clock isn't going to stop ticking while I go about having a breakdown. I should go to the loo, splash water in my face, and snap out of it. At least until the end of the day, if I could just last that long.
I think I just need to excuse myself for a minute, if that's alright.
What was the other option? What did that other option been? She places a hand on my arm, gentle as can be.
What? No. What if you suddenly fall over or faint while you're all alone? You can just sit down right here and I'll go get you a glass of water.
Or would you like some beer? That's how you are nowadays now. Drowning everything in booze.
Okay. Well, that's scary.
No, I don't want anything to drink. Just...
Calm down. Holy crap. As I said that forcefully, judging by the look on Mrs. Wright's face. Why does she care? It's not like we're friends. It's business. I'm either well enough to conduct it or not. Why would she pretend to be concerned when I am simply a means to an end? Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. Maybe I'm starting to see and hear again when I shouldn't be. I try so hard to leave everything behind to forget them and move on. But that small touch and her voice in my head have nearly sent me off the edge. And in an instant, all of her memories come flooding back in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you like that. Just give me some breathing room, please. Just, please, give me a moment.
Okay, so it's something else. Just responding just before the situation gets any more complicated, Mr. Wright comes in.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is that I wake up to such a beautiful sight.
Okay, this is the thing we're doing. Marianne visited the Rice penthouse to discuss work with the couple while waiting for them. As she tried to turn the telly on, she got a glimpse of her horrifying past. Hannah Wright soon showed up asking a very spooky Marianne if she was feeling well. What happened?
I do hope you two are getting along. I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
What? I'm not a pig. You don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
With this saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think, you're a bit of a pig, Whiskey.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
The only styles she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Those people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruits, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. As it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
Oh gosh.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
I stopped. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans of Robert.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run-through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
The quarters?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
Wait, what? They're talking about the quarters, right? Oh, this is a room? Wait, no, what? I have no idea.
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, And you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
Wow.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
That's a good question. Even I saw that and I was like, what the hell?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose.
Yeah.
Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
The hell? Why?
What for? You can park your cars outside.
Sheesh.
What about that room, right there, in the northwest corner?
Northwest. What, the quarters?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Ah.
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxborn to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? Can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told me.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
I can say much sounds fair, but we can compromise. Yes, it sounds fair. It's like I'm pretty sure one of them is one of them must be. Yep, Hannah went up, Luke went down. Ms. Wright has her points, though. I really didn't want to butt into the spat of a husband and wife, but with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough costs of these things by now, love. Masters in Business Administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
I think it catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable, the whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business Administration and Accounting? What university?
Luxborn U, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know. We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Okay. Mansion's arrangements were discussed over breakfast. During the meeting, the Wright couple had an argument about the Mansion's arrangements. In the end, they decided a visit will settle that. Anytime Rengar Mansion and their rice is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. The intention thick in the air, I can feel them starting to at each other anytime. Nobody is saying anything. Up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. For a moment I think that he might start. Instead he just says, stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I've never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I could finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze and wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves toward the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land,
46
sir.
acres? Jeez.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Dick. Someday I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. But I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer. The only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project, to work with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, they'll be away with him for Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. They're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. The wretched blue strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seemed sturdy during the open house, but a close inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably threaded during renovations. Peeking under the ground carpet, the wood is properly installed with bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, looks so to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
Man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand.
This will stay a
again.
dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants, or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone were to see them like this, there's little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere.
Daffodil.
I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Was at the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings? Nope.
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
And she goes without even asking if I need her hair. I'm not standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of the interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. When I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. When it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. Go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go first? I would say upstairs, because I don't even want to go with whiskey right now. First floor. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. Of course, I know this is just a convenient excuse. I just don't want to be in the same room as whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. The banisters on the grand staircase landings are solid and a proper height. Any lower and they would be trouble. There's a small catch on the carpet though, but as long as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. The stained glass art. It's restored, no doubt, in the image of the last lady in Lord of Ermengarde. Where it was supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered. By a witch of all things. From what I've heard, you think their historians of this place would be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it instead of replacing it with some generic cookie-cutter design. This entire piece alone would have cost roughly 500, even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Ermengarde and her beloved. Looking at the mosaic is not too far a stretch of the imagination to believe that the depicted images could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. You'd be easily assumed as such if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? Walking to the east wing, I try to go into the theater, but it's met with an obstacle. An obstacle that is locked doors. 2 doors, 2 and both of them are locked. I would be frustrated, but it would be if I already hadn't snuck off while the Wrights were having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper to take a peek. With what Mr. Wright wanted, we'd have to install a powerful projector, tied to using cinemas and a projection screen. Seats would have to be reupholstered if they're to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark material. Paint, wallpaper, or install wall-to-wall carpeting. Really, of all the rooms I could be jealous of is this one. I could just picture myself in there watching old kung fu flicks on a weekend off marathon. Makes me wonder what kind of movies Mrs. Wright would like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not think about. In the middle of my notation and planning, I don't even realize that I'm not alone until I'm kind of standing in front of the locked door and like a
Were you
fool.
meaning to go in there? I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but a key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it. Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
There's heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out the window. Out towards the vast expanse that surrounded what would be their house, their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them. They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing unthoughtful. I have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being with so close.
Yes, it must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
I mean, not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls straight to her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke. There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content. Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him. Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful. I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
A lot.
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
Oh, well, yeah, you have a reason not to. Keyword is try, of course. Thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts, memories of her. I do wonder what would change if I just said yes when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. Return to the present, just like I said. Try not to dwell on the past. Let's save, right? I did not. Why don't you just have it on your own? What did I say? Nope. Yeah. Aurora seems simple enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be as difficult as she makes it out to be, right?
Why don't you decide on your own?
I meant nothing against Mr. Wright, of course, though whiskey beggared me to no end. By law, she would be owner of the house, well, unless they signed junk property ownership anyway, which is a rare thing as far as I know. Especially among these highbrow types. Sure, they could actually love their spouse, I don't doubt that possibility, but money is money and it makes people do the most horrible things.
It's your house. You can paint the whole place pink if you want, and there's not much he can do.
Somber expression Gia changes to a look of contempt.
I could, but we are husband and wife. Equal partners in marriage, Marianne, though I can see that you don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is his home as much as it is mine. I'm not going to go behind his back over a room.
True, but true. We're going to always be separate for a bit.
And how dare you suggest that?
I don't even talk about her down without causing further offense. It's my attempt to shake off my own drama that ended up tripping right into theirs. Because really I have no business meddling in the affairs of my clients unless it involved interior design or architecture. Yet here I am opening my mouth and yapping. I do hate to see a good woman.
That's not what I meant by it. I just mean that maybe you don't have to get the approval of your husband all the time. Or well, okay, fine. I know nothing about married life, Mrs. Wright. You're right about that. But I still think you're allowed your indulgences every now and then.
Of course, one form of indulgence meant buying gold slate 78 RPM country records. Records which I don't even dare use in my gramophone. For her, it could very well be buying entire houses.
That's just my take on it. A perfect relationship is as rare as hen's teeth. You got what you got. I mean, you're doing well enough without my advice. Sure, look it.
That looks to plus at her somewhat. She looks away and starts to favor the view outside once more with a faraway look in her eyes.
Feel free to look around the rest of the house. Everything but the theatre should be open.
Why is the theater closed?
Just call if there's need of me.
Of course, Mrs. Wright.
I really shouldn't have opened my big mouth in the first place. This sort of thing only gets me in trouble. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and stick to business, that's all. Be professional. But I failed to do that just because of her pretty face. When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out the window from where she was standing, and I move on. Alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet.
Thought the old biddy would never leave.
What the hell? Instead of madness is hearing things. I reckon it's the stress, though I don't know what exactly you're stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has really thrown up for a loop, I'd be worried. I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call it a doctor. Hopefully it isn't that, nor right here and not right now. I mean, it could just be that personal talking cricket, the conscious essence, so to speak. I'm only noticing now, though if it is, it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stay firmly in the ground and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of winning the sudden sense of vertigo away. But when I open them, well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood dripped from the walls and the ceiling, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains on the carpet. A wave of nausea stronger than the last hits me along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is telling me to flee. I would have gladly done as it asked if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on. I have something to show you.
I could have ignored it, would have ignored it, if only I heard it in my head. But I swear that this time it's coming from one of the rooms, much further into the study. I felt compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. That one is her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Oh, thick as thieves. Lorraine. Lovely Amanda Lorraine Lesser Fiona. She was my friend, the only one that I had at St. Samphans. I was a scholar, the charity case in the school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down on me if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve.
Is that how you spell it?
Why I gotta teach that butterface a lesson?
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Marianne was there when I needed her, though through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school away from my father all the more tolerable. She saw this poor, helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else, and being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
Damn.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
I'm serious, is that really how you say your name? Ugh. Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind where treacherous thoughts lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. Perhaps I had been too selfish to return the
You
favor.
have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean!
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tumblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, and not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man and woman. Unclean, impure. I prayed for her and I for our sins and for salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her family so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority. I had to keep my grades after keeping my scholarship from my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. It had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset, I get that. I thought I had the time to make things right, but
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th-year dead. Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
God dang it. Told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
Maeve had a hook and I kicked the bucket, didn't she?
Remember me?
Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though. She didn't say which, Lorraine.
But at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck in here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorraine smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her, but then I feel bile rise up in my throat as her clean image warps into how she looked like when they had her found her dead, lying on the cold, hard ground. Good Saint Dimphna, great wonder worker in every affliction of mind and body. Help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Looking everywhere but at her, I hope and pray that it's enough to or whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just...
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead!
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My breathing quickens and I can feel my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. The least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. And a natural smile stretches across her face and I can only see malice in it. Then she lunges in the mirror and ripples around her form, glass parting like the water surface for her. She grips my shoulders and I can feel her nails, the deep, sharp even through the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
Not oh shit.
Why won't you love me?
Apologies spill through my lips as tears cloud my vision. I won't give in to this madness. Every bit of strength I have left, I struggle to get away. Fear grips and threatens to choke me. I endure, I escape. But without turning back, I stumble back out. I panic. I don't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall that's sitting me, I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study, away from that mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness it seems is running out into the hallway reveals it to be in pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorraine again. I have no plans of stopping that until I know I'm safe. That means walking back to Luxborn is where Bliss's idea is, and so be it. Someone suddenly grabs hold of me, however, fingers digging deep into my shoulder, and my heart nearly stops. My body seizes and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but... Did something happen? Are you alright?
This is right.
Without thinking, I saw comfort seeing that it wasn't her. It's a sudden, impulsive thing to do, and had I been in a better condition, I wouldn't even have dared of doing such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do, though I know I shouldn't. Her warmth or scent, they grounded me. She is intoxicated.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind realized I'm no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I have seen, but like a scared child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I had seen. I should just write it off as a figment of my imagination, but you can still feel her nails getting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry, I have you.
A lie. But a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feeling of fear eases off, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. Quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
Seems to play their worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots my way, hidden quickly under another smile. I won't begrudge her for it, that worry. The look on my face must have been a strange enough sight on its own, even I am still reeling from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ears. After all these years, she's still... No, Marianne. Shaking my head off the thoughts, I drag in a breath and follow shortly after Mrs. Wright. Whatever has happened in the past is long gone, only memories now. And those are things I can no longer bring back. Ugh. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we're only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out on the lawn. Mrs. Wright is busy, eyes up on the stars, and Mr. Wright, arms crossed, has his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time! What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion. Knowing what I had seen there, or rather who I thought I saw there, because there was just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Mrs. Wright for pigeon's sake. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down and make excuses, say that I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father, but... Ooh. So you also have a... Huh. Just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down. For some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead. Something I've terribly missed, and now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, Father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through with it. Consequences be damned. And while I really don't have any logical reason to say no, at least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice once again since it's showing on my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. Sheesh. Marianne examined the first floor upon arrival at the mansion. With their small talk with Hannah Wright, Marianne headed for the study, where she saw a ghost from her past reflected in the mirror. Despite that, she gave her word that she would see through the project until the end. The mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit the city proper, I asked them to be dropped off and bid them good night. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too long in confined spaces with either Mrs. or Mr. Wright. Both seemed to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been anything as interesting as it ran, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have, shouldn't have, won't. I assure them that my place isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and blow the risky throws from a little smirk. But even in my own home, peace is elusive as asleep. I lie awake, thinking of what I saw in that mansion, of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. When none of that happens, it makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights, I've had trouble sleeping. There's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest and I'm reminded of what terrifies me so.